The Tennessee Titans will not trade down in round one, and I'll explain why on today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast.
You are Locked On Titans, your daily Tennessee Titans podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Titans podcast. I am your host, Tyler Rowland. Titans fans, today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast is brought to you by Monopoly Go. I admit I have a competitive side, and it is a big fan of Monopoly Go, the mobile hit twist on classic Monopoly. Join your friends and download Monopoly Go now, free on the App Store or Google Play. I do not believe the Tennessee Titans will trade down in the first round. And based on what Carthon had to say on Tuesday, I feel even more certain. We'll go over what Carthon had to say in the Titans pre-draft press conference. Plus, we're diving into draft rumors. And there are some rumors that maybe don't have to do with the Tennessee Titans that are great news for the Titans around the NFL. I'll tell you what those are. And I'm hearing some whispers about a prospect the Tennessee Titans like a ton. I'll tell you what I'm hearing, who it is. Before I dive into all of that, thank you for making the Locked On Titans podcast your first to listen each and every day. Remember, Monday through Friday, Tennessee Titans content all year round, always for free. Make sure you get subscribed, stay subscribed. It's your team every day. Shout out to my everydayers out there tuning in Monday through Friday. If you aren't an everydayer, you need to be one. Tomorrow, I will have a comprehensive first round preview, talk about big needs, talk about best options, talk about trade ups, trade downs, all the different possibilities that could happen. I'm going to dive into it. And then on Thursday night, I'll have a 10-minute instant recap after the Titans pick, and then I'll be going live at the conclusion of round one to break down what has happened and what could be coming next. That goes along with more instant reactions on day two, a full recap on day two, same thing on Saturday for the day three of the draft. So much content coming your way. Again, make sure you get subscribed, stay subscribed. It's your team every day. But with that being said, I do not believe that the Tennessee Titans are going to trade down in this draft. I just don't believe it, no matter how much you guys want it to happen, no matter how much of a possibility it is. Look, me saying I do not believe the Tennessee Titans are going to trade down in the draft doesn't mean that they won't, but I do not believe it. And what we heard from Carthon and Brian Callahan on Tuesday basically made me feel even more emboldened in that opinion. So what did Carthon say? Carthon talked about the possibility of trading down, but he said, quote, and courtesy of TennesseeTitans.com live press conference, you guys can check it out if you want to, but he said, quote, "We owe it to the organization and to the coaching staff to listen to all calls." He said, to see if there's anything enticing, anything that would blow us away. But my favorite beat reporter on the scene for the Titans, Teron Davenport from ESPN, followed that up with, "Are there any prospects that could be available to you that would cause you to completely ignore trading down? Like, basically, if these guys are on the board, we're not trading down, we're taking them." And Carthon said, quote, "Short answer, yes," end quote. So that right there told me all I need to know. Like, there are prospects in this draft that the Titans will simply not pass on. They're not going to pass on blue chip players. And you get into the business, Carthon calls them blue players, take away the chip. Most regular people who like the NFL or follow football have heard blue chip, red chip prospects, stuff like that. But Carthon just calls them blue players. All right. There are blue players at the top of this draft that there is no way that the Titans can pass on. And this is what I've been saying all along. I have been saying I do not want the Titans to trade down because I want them to stick and pick and get a blue chip player. And it's reassuring to me. It's a breath of fresh air. It's a sigh of relief to hear Carthon say that. Now, what is a blue chip player? What is a blue player for the Titans? Rand Carthon also talked about that. He said it's a day one starter. You plug them in, you play. They're going to be good players in this league for multiple years. That's what they're looking for. Well, who is that in this class? Who is that for the Titans? Well, number one, the Titans aren't taking a quarterback. All right, so we can eliminate any quarterback from this conversation. They're not taking a quarterback, all right? Whether you believe in Levis or not, doesn't matter because in the building, they do, all right? So that leaves you with what I think are the top 4 prospects in the draft. And what I say are my pure blue chip players. Number 1, Marvin Harrison Jr. Clear as day, dark as night, whatever you want to call it. The Batman references, all right? He's just a blue chip guy. And there's no way that the Titans would pass on Marvin Harrison Jr. There is no way. There is no way. All right? It is pure as possible that Marvin Harrison Jr. is a blue chip player. Now, after that, that's where the debates start. I think most people would agree that Marvin Harrison is the top, but the reality is there's no way Marvin Harrison Jr. has fallen to 7. All right? And don't ask me, would they trade up? The Titans are not trading up. Okay? They're not doing that. So then for me, I have Joe Alt. Joe Alt is the top tackle in the draft. I think he is an obvious blue chipper who could come in right away, stabilize the left tackle position, and you move on. Is Joe Alt going to be Joe Thomas? Is Joe Alt Trent Williams? No. No, he's not. I think he's more Taylor Lewan. Jake Matthews is a comparison that you get a ton. Colton Miller from the Raiders is a guy who gets a lot of comparisons there. But that's a Pro Bowl level player who is going to start for a decade. Like, would you be like Jake Matthews has been a starter for Atlanta for a long time now. There's just no way that the Titans can pass on that based on what they've experienced recently. And then, of course, you have the 2 other wide receivers, Malik Neighbors and Rome Odunze. I have been asked so many times, well, Tyler, if Alt and Neighbors and Marvin Harrison Jr. are off the board, who are you picking? And I have said since January, Rome Odunze. Odunze is a blue chip elite prospect. So to me, I think if any of those players are on the board, the Titans are sticking, they're picking, they're taking a blue chip, and that is exactly what they should do. Now, some other things that stood out to me real quick from the pre-draft press conference of Rand Carthon and Brian Callahan. Both of them agreed the depth in this offensive tackle class is crazy. And Brian Callahan even said he thinks there's going to be starters from almost every round, all right? And some people are looking at that and saying, oh, they're taking a wide receiver. The blue chip comment, that comment, they're taking a wide receiver. And they also said, Brian Callahan specifically said, that after the first few wide receivers, the top end of wide receivers, there is a drop-off. And people are going, oh, see, they want one of the top wide receivers. But also, Rand Carthon also said that where colleges were playing more spread offense, there's been more of a swing back to more pro-style offense in college. And there are going to be wide receivers every single year. They said that this wide receiver draft class maybe isn't that different from other wide receiver draft classes. It's the offensive tackles that are deeper. But then they, like I said, they also said you can get a receiver every year because they're pro-ready coming out of college. So what does it all mean? I can't really tell you for sure, but what I do know is the Titans are not going to trade back in this draft, and they shouldn't trade back in this draft. Stick and pick at 7 and take a blue chip prospect. And there's going to be even better of a chance that they can get one based on recent rumors surrounding quarterback trades at the top of the draft. I'm going to tell you what we're hearing there from the NFL perspective, and then go into a prospect that I'm hearing whispers about personally at the end of the show. Before I do that, though, do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance: superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Titans fans, let's continue today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. We went over what Rand Carthon and Brian Callahan had to say about the draft. We also need to talk about some of these rumors that can benefit the Tennessee Titans. And then I'll tell you some noise that I'm hearing, again, at the end of the show. As a reminder, thank you for making the Locked On Titans podcast your first listen each and every day, Monday through Friday. Tennessee Titans content all year round, always for free. Get subscribed, stay subscribed. Draft preview, full draft preview for the first round tomorrow. Instant reaction, live video after the pick is made. Full 30-minute recap of day one and a look ahead to day two on Thursday night, probably around midnight Eastern time. I would imagine I'll be up and doing that. I'll be hosting Locked On NFL on Friday morning as well for a full NFL breakdown of the draft. Friday night when the Titans pick, I'll be going live to give my instant reaction. Again, a day two recap around midnight when day two concludes. And then on day three, I'll be doing the same thing. You're not going to get this much Tennessee Titans draft coverage anywhere else. So get subscribed, stay subscribed. With that being said, though, we are hearing that there's a lot of conversations happening at the top of the draft. We have heard reports from Diana Rossini. We have heard reports from Adam Schefter. We have heard reports from Ian Rappaport. I think Jordan Schultz, Tom Pelissero. We have heard so many reports about the trades. And this is essentially, I want to make sure I give credit to all those people, but essentially this is what they're all getting at. The Commanders are not trading out a number two. They're going to stick and they're going to pick. And in my opinion, I believe that that is Jaden Daniels. That seems to be the overwhelming favorite, and I'm not falling for it like we did last year. Will Levis, the odds have changed, the gambling markets, they're saying, no, they're going to take Jaden Daniels. All right. I think they should take Drake May. So if they do that, I'll applaud them, but I think they're going to take Jaden Daniels. I'm not going to get fooled by the, couple of days leading up, but they're sticking and picking at two and taking a quarterback. That is what we know. All right. So what's most important here for the Titans is number one, quarterback. Number two, quarterback, no matter who it is. All right. Caleb Williams, obviously at one, and then the Patriots are taking calls. The Patriots are taking calls. Now, we're hearing that the Patriots are taking calls, but Albert Breer from Sports Illustrated has said that he doesn't think that the Patriots are going to move out of number three. He thinks they're going to stick at number three. I think that could be public negotiation. Breer has ties to the Patriots. Hey, say that we're not leaving, And then when you do that, that means, hey, if you want to come up to number three, you better really blow us away. And some other reports we got, like from Diana Rossini, I believe, she was saying, the Patriots are fielding calls, but they need to be blown away by an offer to let somebody come up and take them. Because the reality is here for the Patriots, they can move out and trade back, but someone's coming up to take a quarterback. And the Patriots need a quarterback. They have Jacoby Brissett. He is not your answer, okay? So it would be dangerously risky for the Patriots to allow somebody to come up and take a quarterback that they could take, like Drake May, J.J. McCarthy, if they believe in him, whatever. So no matter what, whether the Patriots stick and pick or whether they trade out, it's going to be a third quarterback. And as long as there's three quarterbacks who go 1, 2, 3, then Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze, Joe Alt, the Titans are getting one of those four. It is math, all right? And as long as the Titans get one of those four, which full circle back to who I said, who are my blue chip prospects? Those 4 players. And as long as the Titans get one of those 4 players, I'm going to be happy. I would be elated by MHJ, Neighbors, or Alt. I would be happy as heck with a Dunze, though. And again, for you guys who are like, why would the Titans take wide receiver? Just think about this logically. Calvin Ridley's 29. DeAndre Hopkins is 32. Hopkins is a free agent after the year. He's probably not going to be in Tennessee after this year. They need a wide receiver desperately. That is a major need for this team. All right? So, good spot there. Now, we have also heard that the New York Giants are serious about trading up. They've done all their homework on the quarterback prospects. Okay? So that is important, not only for trade-up purposes, but even if 3 quarterbacks go, and then let's say it's Marvin Harrison Jr., and let's say it's Malik Neighbors or Joe Alt, the Giants could take a quarterback at 6 anyway without trading up. And now you have 4 quarterbacks going, and that means you're getting MHJ, Neighbors, or Alt, which is the holy trinity for me in this draft. So, the Giants, even if the Giants are interested enough to trade up, they would definitely consider taking a quarterback at 6. Also, the Giants' interest in trading up, the Vikings' interest in trading up, we have heard the rumors that the Vikings are pushing hard right now on the phones to try to move up. So with the Giants and the Vikings both being interested, and then you add in the final layer, the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders have Aiden O'Connell as their quarterback. What? That's not going to do it. All right? So, between the Raiders, now the rumor is that the Raiders want Jaden Daniels, and if he's gone, they're going to bow out and just say, we're not going to make the move. But I think there's a great chance that after we get the 1, 2, 3 quarterbacks, that let's say Minnesota trades up to number 3, or the Giants trade up to number 3. Well, the Patriots probably still take a quarterback. Or the Vikings would probably still come up to 4 to get a quarterback. So basically, no matter how you want to slice it, no matter what you want to look at, every single big-time rumor that we have seen in the last 24 to 48 hours has pointed to 4 quarterbacks going in the top 6. And as long as that happens, 4 quarterbacks in the top 6, well, again, Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, Joe Alt. And if the Titans get one of those 3, the first round is an A+. And again, back to my point, if that is the scenario and if that is the case, you cannot trade down and let someone come up and get a blue chip prospect at a position that you desperately need. So whether it's Malik Neighbors, whether it's Joe Alt, I don't believe it's going to be Marvin Harrison Jr., no matter what, 4 quarterbacks and then Marvin Harrison Jr. But, I mean, think about it. Like, what if the Chargers do go Joe Alt at 5? And then, for some reason, the Giants go, no, I can't do this. I can't let myself even have a smidgen of belief that Marvin Harrison will be there. But either way, all of these rumors are great news for the Tennessee Titans because the more quarterbacks that go in front of them, the more likely they get their pick of these top-tier blue-chip prospects. And that is all that I've ever wanted from this draft process. So, with that being said, though, I am hearing some noise about one player. I've mentioned it before, but I want to dive back into it, and it's JC Latham from Alabama, who I think the Tennessee Titans like very much. We'll talk about that. Before we do, though, do want to let you guys know that today's episode is sponsored by Monopoly Go. So I told you guys at the beginning of the show, and you probably already know this, I'm a very competitive person, okay? And my competitive side is a big fan of Monopoly Go. I'm sure that you've heard of it. It's been downloaded over 150 million times. It's a great twist on Monopoly, where you don't just play one Monopoly board, you play hundreds of Monopoly boards in crazy locations as you build up amazing cities that bring you in big money. But the best part is you get to mess with your friends. You could charge them rent on your iconic properties, just like classic Monopoly, but you can also rob them of their riches and keep it all for yourself. And they have leaderboards that show you as the biggest Monopoly tycoon. It's fantastic. It's not just my competitive side that loves it. You can also team up with your friends and people all around the world in time tournaments to earn huge rewards. So get in the game. Join your friends. Download Monopoly Go now for free on the App Store and on Google Play. Titans fans, let's cap off today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. We went over the pre-draft press conference from Carthon and Brian Callahan. We talked about some NFL trade rumors that could benefit the Titans. Now I want to dive into, look, let me say this. I don't report, all right? That's not my thing. I've had a couple stories that I broke. The Titans meeting with Osiris Torrance at Florida's Pro Day last year. The Titans did have a trade offer in place with the Arizona Cardinals to move up to number 3 last year. It would have potentially included DeAndre Hopkins as well, but it would have been a situation where the Cardinals were giving the Titans. Basically, the Titans weren't paying for DeAndre Hopkins. They were taking the contract off their books. The Cardinals ultimately released Hopkins to save that money, so clearly that was the case. I had sources in Arizona. I had it double sourced as well. But I'm not a source guy. I don't try to act like I'm out here breaking news and breaking stories. And I have all of these, songbirds all over the kingdom that give me information. That's not who I try to be or what I try to do. All right. So keep that in mind when I tell you this. But I've heard from multiple sources, not all of them directly with the team, none of them directly with the team, if I'm honest with you. But people team adjacent, people close to the team in some way, okay? I've had multiple people tell me that the Titans are very, very high on JC Latham. I had one person even tell me that the Titans like Latham better than Joe Alt. Now, some people think that JC Latham is a right tackle only. You may be right. But what I would tell you is, at the press conference on Tuesday, Brian Callahan said, you need a good right and left tackle. Most teams have their better pass rusher going against the right tackle. So you need both. All right. And they said also that there are some guys who they think, can play both sides. There are some guys who only play one side, this and that. But at the end of the day, you need 2 good offensive tackles. So I guess even if they believe that JC Latham is only a right tackle, I don't think that would stop them from taking him. Now, you always have to factor in, why is this information out there? Why are there, 4, 5 people who I've talked to who said the Titans may like JC Latham better than Joe Alt? Why is that out there? Well, maybe the Titans want that out there, because if people don't think that they're going to take Joe Alt, then maybe they think they can wait for Joe Alt, or they can trade back and get Joe Alt, and then the Titans get Joe Alt anyway. Okay? Maybe you could read the tea leaves there. You could try to put 2 and 2 together and connect the dots, this and that. We can't know the true motivations for this information being out there. But what I do know is that I've talked to enough people who have said that the Titans are very high on JC Latham, that it makes me wonder. It does make me wonder. Now, there's no way in the world that I would pass on Alt, that I would pass on Neighbors, that I would pass on Odunze to take JC Latham. I wouldn't. But, again, let me say this too. If, for some reason, only 2 quarterbacks go in the top 6, which we just talked about all these rumors. But let me say this. Some of you guys say I flip-flop and this and that. No, you just are immature. That's what I will say. Because just because I feel strongly about something, I am not so cocky and arrogant that I refuse to acknowledge that other things can happen. I may feel incredibly bold that the Titans won't trade down. I may feel incredibly confident that there will be at least 3 quarterbacks in the top 6. But I'm not so arrogant and pompous that I don't at least acknowledge maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that it's funny because there are people who say, I never admit when I'm wrong. They tell me it all the time on Twitter. I never admit when I'm wrong. But those same exact people criticize me and say I flip-flop all the time. No, it's just I acknowledge that I might be wrong. And things may not go the way that I expect. And if only 2 quarterbacks go, and for some reason all 4 of those blue chippers we've talked about today are off the board, then I absolutely could see the Titans picking JC Latham there. I could. I think they like him that much. Do they like him more than Joe Alt? We're going to get our answer. We are going to get our answer. But I just wanted to take some time. I don't do sources. I'm not big on reports. I'm not reporting this. Blah, 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 blah. I'm just saying I've had conversations and I've heard whispers that the Titans like JC Latham a lot. Okay? So, do what you will with that information. Grain of salt, as always. But let's stay on our toes out there, Titans fans. With that said, though, tomorrow's show, the next show that I upload, will be a full, comprehensive first-round draft preview. And again, I don't think the Titans are going to trade down. I don't want the Titans to trade down. But just because I think those things don't mean that they won't. So I'm going to look at my top options, who the Titans could potentially trade down with, and what options they could be looking at if they do trade down. We're going over all the scenarios that can play out in round 1 for the Titans on tomorrow's show. Can't wait to dive into that because you know what it means. It means the draft is officially here. You won't get better draft content than you get here on the Locked On Titans podcast. And then, of course, I'm going to be having a ton of film content on the Tic Tac Titans film channel as soon as the draft actually concludes. So make sure that you stick with me here on Locked On Titans. Get subscribed to Tic Tac Titans film channel here on YouTube. Follow me on Twitter at Tic Tac Titans as well. So much happening. It's the best time of the year, ladies and gentlemen. But that is going to do it for me today, folks. As always, I am your host, Tyler Rowland, and this was Locked On Titans.